So we'll get started. Hi, yeah, please come in, take a seat, front row. You can always be front of the audience, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So I'm Fred Lill, I'm co-founder of Lill Packaging, a CEO, and inventor of quite a lot of the sustainable options you see in the general e-com packaging logistics sector. And this is a topic about, reducing the need for void fill. So void kill. And probably one thing I'm famed for, let's say, pretty much 20 years ago to the date, is the invention of these. It's called the Lill envelope. I'm Fred Lill, Lill Packaging, chosen by the world's largest internet retailer to eradicate these. This was the king back 20 years ago. We all remember them, bubble mailers. This represented 80% of all e-commerce shipments in 2005, 2006. You think about how many people were buying CDs, DVDs, DVD box sets, all these things. So this is a thing of the past, it's history. And this speech today is all about this crap, void fill, right? We all hate using it. And I don't just mean as consumers, we hate handling it and getting rid of it. I mean, even as e-commerce companies and logistics companies, we're realizing, crikey, 20, 30% of our entire spend on packaging is this guff going inside. So yeah, we're going to need a box, something to ship it in. But actually, this speech is particularly about a void kill, how void fill is killing sustainability and pack time. So I'll explain two in both similar ways. But whenever I'm doing like a speech at any of these shows, people often ask me, okay, what's trending, the latest things in e-commerce packaging, because we like to be at the forefront of that. So probably just best I kind of glimpse on some of these. So firstly, something that's trending, probably some of you in the audience, hands up that I've done it, I put into ChatGPT, create a caricature of me based on my job and everything you know about me. Hands up who's tried that. Come on, there must be, yes, thank you. There's always one. People in an office, right? That's me, right? I think that's Cheryl Cole with a crow in the background, maybe Gary Barlow behind, and I'm a coffee drinker. People will know I don't drink PG Tips. And this is just a point of don't rely on ChatGPT. It could be a useful tool, but actually these things that are trending aren't often all that useful. So moving on, if you're not familiar with what Pantone color of the year is, learn. It's an interesting thing and you see it being adopted by the bigger brands on a regular basis. So Cloud Dancer, that's the one of this year. It's been things like a magenta color and all these other things of previous, which gets adopted by brands like Ted Baker. So what also is trending at the moment? It's back on the up, e-commerce. So actually, let's all have a cheer, a hurrah, because we're all related to e-commerce and logistics in this world somehow. And actually having enjoyed, as you see, that straight line of an average 16% e-commerce growth prior to COVID, we're at least back on the up again. So, whatever keeps going up has to come down eventually to some degree, but we're back on the up as an industry. So this is just an important realization that, it's been times are hard, but times could be buoyant coming ahead. So moving on, this is really probably the eye-opener of just how much void fill we're all using in this sector. So an e-commerce parcel typically is 70% or greater than 70% air that needs to be filled, that void fill. And actually this photo probably is a typical depiction of, the size of box that would hold a lip care or eye care product as a one-off and somehow something in there to stop it sliding around. So DPD used to release statistics about the percentage of their shipments of the volume or the capacity that is the actual item itself. They stopped doing that during the COVID time, but actually it was in the region of about 75% at the time. But actually, this is a true statistic on the whole, 30-70, and we need to do something about that. So void fill. Ultimately, there's all sorts of, sustainability relating to void fill. There's all sorts of things that go through all of our minds when we think about sustainability. And everyone has a different take on it based on what they learnt, what their recent conversations were, and what's trending. In reality, it can just be put, in my opinion, down to 2 words: consume less. Fact. If you're trying to actually reduce your energy consumption, that helps. If you're trying to do less journeys to work, that helps in a car. Consume less to the point that actually, if you try and imagine the most sustainable point in human times was in the kind of 11th century. If you think Battle of Hastings, 1066, something like that, that was a period where people lived off their land and actually they consumed very little. So the reason why I talk about this, there's a debate of paper and plastic. And in reality, having spent a huge amount of time on this, because as a business, Lill Packaging, we're the furthest ahead towards net zero in packaging manufacture. So we have a zero scope 1 and 2. This probably isn't a long enough presentation to explain all the depths of that. And we offset our scope 3 entirely. So we're a zero carbon certified business. But the debate of paper and plastic, in reality, is quite simple. Per ton, plastic has 4 times greater carbon footprint than paper. So you think, oh, that's really bad. But generally speaking, anything that you want as an equivalent of paper to plastic, you've got to go 4 times the weight in paper. So actually it does even out, even though I am proud not to make anything from plastic, because I believe actually that's the true way for having an eco loop, because paperboard can be recycled dozens of times. But actually that argument of, okay, paper and plastic, if it's about carbon footprint, it's pretty much the same thing. As much as some manufacturers say one thing, one other, they do even it out. So I'm talking about all void fill types, because again, in consuming less, don't think about whether it be the right thing or the wrong thing. Just try and use less of it, and that's a good thing. So oversized boxes, are fundamentally the root of a lot of that, of the need to put so much extra void fill into it. But I'll come through some suggestions of how businesses can improve that. So just a reminder, actually, this relates to still what's trending. National minimum wage rising April this year. It's effectively now Labour 25p per minute pack time. So if you think actually at a rock bottom, highlighted blue on the screen here, this £12.71 for 21 and overs, that is the national living wage. Actually, once you factor in everything in terms of NI and pension contributions, it's 15 quid an hour. That's actually what it will cost a business. Divide that by 60, 25p a minute. So actually, does it really matter so much that a box costs 25p or 30p if it's taking 1 or 2 minutes to pack? That's really the focus here. So the overall headlines about trying to reduce void fill and the value here. I just want to talk through the common choices of what void fill regularly are. I've spilt out of the box here the paper choice that is generally deemed as the better option over plastic, but it's highly, highly profitable, I should make you aware. I mean, I'm not a void fill manufacturer. We make corrugated products and paperboard mailers, but actually it's kind of relatable. If you try and get it down to the raw cost per ton and what you're buying it per ton, you can see how much margin is made in this sector. So paper costs between £600 and £1,000 per ton. There's a possibility that might be going up in the spring and the summer with this conflicts in Iran. But actually, what the void fill price in the sector is in the UK is about £3,000 per pallet. And then people are delving further. Okay, how much weight is on a pallet? Oh, 500 kilos. Crikey. How much am I paying a ton? And that's the real penny drop moment. It should, if it's only half a ton of a pallets of void fill, it should be costing retailers, logistics companies, 3PLs only 300 to 500 quid per pallet of void fill. And largely these situations are born in any sector when there's only a few suppliers that are able to do it, and there are only 6 European producers, and it's sold through exclusivity arrangements through distributors. To give you an idea, my company explored the route of becoming an exclusive distributor for a paper void fill producer, and it was a 25-page contract where you had to commit to a minimum of 1 truck every single month, whether you light it or not, whether you got any customers or not. And that's the level of commitment that they need. So it's a highly profitable, paper-based, let's say, niche of the sector, and we're just using too much of it. And that's the trend that probably will just continue to push through for the next 20 years, much like the eradication of the bubble mailers. So, yeah, in that, you think today just how little bubble mailers are used, probably 20 years' time, that's where we're headed. And that's going to be a good thing from a sustainability point of view. So, yeah, again, as I'll keep on these slides, the bottom headlines here about the sustainability, consume less, and actually this 25p per minute labour rate. If there's only two things you remember from this presentation, hammer them home to everyone in your organisations. It's a big wake-up call. So, ways of reducing void fill. It might not be a term many of you are familiar with, but retention packaging. The whole point of that term, retention packaging, is that it retains the product within the box or within the bag. To give you an idea, this is an item of retention packaging. There's 3 or 4 companies here at this show actually offering retention packaging, and it's got like an inbuilt, friction adhesive tissue paper that if you put something inside it, doesn't grip to the product, but grips to itself. So I've lost a few wallets doing this demonstration in the past, but if you put something like lip liner or lip gloss inside here, you can actually seal it retain it, wrong way around, retain it within the paper. And actually that grips down in here without any need for void fill or packing, just retaining it within the packaging before you then even seal it. So no need for that retention paper. Another way of doing it, I've got to remember I've got a wallet in there. Anyone let me forget that? Poke that in there. Is with variable height packaging. This still isn't commonplace. Amazon went through a period of using variable height boxes for the best part of a decade. But actually, if you've seen, they've been creeping up with their paper void fill usage inside, and that's a major reason. In that, if I just do a demonstration for you here of what a difference it can make having variable height boxes, these 3 flats are exactly the same as these 3 variable height little crash locks here. So if I start with the smallest one, pop it into place, crash lock, fastest e-commerce box to erect. But actually, you won't be able to probably see this in too greater detail from where you're sat, but it's got very small perforation lines and creases inside the box that allow it, as the kind of presentation shows on the slide here, to go to a much lower height. And ultimately, that's going to halve potentially the amount of void fill you need. So it should be a simple case, and this is how Amazon did it, of using your thumbs inside to break it to the next level inside. You're just seeing inside here. It's a lot easier on a stable place. And then collapsing this down to the next crease height that you have, and then forming the box within. So the principle is that you end up each time going lower and lower and lower. I'll do that again. So forming into a box here with the lower crease lines. So ultimately, instead of a box being as high as this one, you're creating this much lower Blue Peter style. Here's what I did a little bit earlier here. And that's the principle of it, to use less of this void fill by getting much smaller volumetric size. And for those of you who are doing international shipping, you'll know that volumetric shipping is the be all and end all for sending overseas. Actually, if you imagine getting all your parcels down in size by 25% of volumetric size, trust me, that's a big cost saving. So running through some kind of headlines here again of our principles with this. How are we for time? We're getting thumbs up still. All right, we've got 5 minutes. Thank you. So 50p is generally the time it's costing, 3PLs, internet retailers, packers, packing a box with ready-to-go void fill, tape on the bottom, tape on the top, 2 minutes pack time if it's the regular void fill method. A typical box for that size, let's say industry average e-commerce box price, 40p, and then typically 10p's worth of void fill paper shoved inside. Highly profitable, but still 10p nevertheless. So generally speaking, most internet retailers who are using void fill to pre-pack, their average cost of fulfillment is normally about £1. And sometimes you see 3PLs charging, a pick and pack rate, which includes void fill, packing, and time based on that simple maths. Now, the Utopia is kind of, as I've explained here, a multi-height crash lock that's super fast to pack, that you're talking, okay, saving a minute of pack time. So actually, if you think, okay, straight away, that headline of 50p time is now only 25p's worth of time or labor. Still, box price trying to achieve that 40p, keeping it constant. But again, halving the voidful paper that you have to put inside, because sometimes in e-commerce, you still need a bit of protection paper for things like nozzles and pumps, glass jars, pallets in the beauty sector often need a bit of extra wrap. But if you look at that headline at the bottom there, so normally £1, but now 70p total fulfillment costs, that's huge. You know, I think if anyone had a ticket to save 30p in every item that they were fulfilling, they'd be happy days that year. So this kind of comes through our overall process of design of sustainable e-commerce packaging. SURF, you know, those 4 key headlines of sustainability and box experience, reduced returns and faster fulfillment. And that's what this brief is all about. So that comes on to the last slide with hopefully time for, a good couple of questions, you know, and finishing off with that weird ChatGPT caricature for those who didn't see that. But no, please collect on LinkedIn. I do have time for a couple of questions if anyone has any. So I'm going to put it to the room. Are there any related questions that I can help try and answer? Sir in the middle. Hi. Yes. We got a microphone coming around. Thank you very much. Cheers, Jack.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation.
Thank you.
We design packaging solutions, and that would include oil fill
Yes.
at times, but we're also focused on reducing it where possible. One of our challenges would be in particularly e-commerce or fulfillment centers where there's such a wide range of different SKUs and different product ranges without shipping out with variable number of units per parcel, if you like, and in different weights and different configurations. So in a situation where there's a huge variety of products, we only comment on that specifically.
Joe, I think that's a brilliant question, because actually I think we've all come across the odd scenario where we've seen, you know, businesses using a variety of 50 different types of packaging. That's probably the number you might be even nodding, yes, you are. So yes, it is definitely a big problem with where do we start when somebody's using so many different pack types? And actually something I like to share, you know, having knowledge of working with Amazon, just remember Amazon used 17 items of packaging to do everything. 17. That is about as lean as it gets. Now, most people don't have a product range as wide as Amazon have, right? So if Amazon can do it in 17, I'd like to think that most internet retailers can do it with less than a dozen. That said, on the 17, that's why there's sometimes critiques about putting too much void fill, because you will occasionally see the odd item, like a mop, in what might seem like a large, long box. But yeah, I think the utopia, in answer to your question, is trying to have variable size packaging. So actually, you don't just have to have variable height. You can get twist wraps, book wraps that are variable width and variable height. And I think that's where the future is going, certainly with e-commerce packaging, that actually either made to size packaging, but that requires £2 million worth of automation, or at least variable size. I think you're going in exactly the right direction with that one. But we all need to be on this journey to try and consume less, because only one or two of us do it. It doesn't make a difference. We all need to be on that combined effort. But thanks for your question. I appreciate that. We are right for one more, if we have any. Otherwise, we can get the next speaker on. But I'm very grateful for the attention for 20 minutes. I don't often get that. But no, really, really appreciate it. Thanks for your time, everyone. And enjoy the day. Thank you. Bye now.